Hi everyone, have you seen my first video? The very first one that I did? That video was about writing, and I've done 3 videos so far about writing, and I've not done another one since. It's kind of been hijacked with autism and gaming and other crap. But I wanted to go back to the subject of the original one. Now don't think for one second that I have stopped writing or that I'm not passionate about it anymore. It remained my first love. It always will be. I am a science geek. I want to be a scientist. I've started a degree. I want to be a YouTuber. I'm doing my gaming, all of that. But writing will always be at the heart and core of everything that I do. As you are aware, at the time of filming my first vlog, I was writing a book, and I have since finished and published that book. So happy about that, really happy. Since then I found that other things in my life have taken over, but that doesn't mean that I've stopped writing. I actually have another novel currently sort of half done, which is a spin-off of the original, and then I have ideas for another one too. I haven't been paid yet for my novel because I haven't accumulated enough downloads in order to be able to benefit from that at all. Maybe one day I might, but that's not the point. You do what you do because you love what you do. I wanted to just let you know, when I was young, about when I discovered that writing was really kind of my forte. I was never good at anything else. I was never good at sports, not good at anything that requires any kind of motor skill. I have very poor coordination, always have. I went to dance lessons just to learn a bit of coordination. I'm quite academically inclined. But reading was something that I could do from a very early age. Before I went to primary school, I could already read. I remember my very first day at primary school. My mother took me in, and I had my plimsoll bag with me and my satchel. And she said, right, okay, there's all these pegs around here. We've got to find one with your name on it. And it had my name, and I recognised my name straight away. I went right to it. Later on that day, our teacher, who had this massive, enormous rocking chair, she would get us to read, can anyone remember a book called Roger Red Hat? If not, you might be able to find it online. But that was the first book that we were ever taught to read, because the word red is very easy to read. She showed me the book and opened it, and I was standing next to her in the rocking chair, and she said, what does that say? And she pointed to it, and it was the word red next to a red shape, and I said red. And then she went down a little bit, what does that say? It was exactly the same word. And I remember thinking, not conceptually, not in a sentence or anything, but bear in mind I was only 4 years old, thinking, I've just said that word. Why are you getting me to say it again and point it to another place? Why don't you just get me to repeat it? And I think I went, red? Like that. She kind of looked at me, but then she went over the page, a red car. And I read it straight off. She would always point to each word as I was reading. And I thought she would sort of shock me and sort of move her finger around the page. But I was just too shy to say, look, move your finger, I can read the damn thing. The first novel I read cover to cover was The BFG by Roald Dahl. I was so encapsulated by that book. And I read all the other Roald Dahl novels. He is one of the best writers ever to have ever lived. I mean, I'd already been writing stories, but purely just for my own pleasure. I never thought one day that I'd write a novel. My mum said to me one day, do you know what, you can one day get your stories published? And I said, what does that mean? She said, well, get them made into a book. Light bulb. That's what I'm meant to do with my life. I was very young, but at the age of 34 now, nearly 34, be 34 Thursday, I think this video might go out afterwards. That is still my dream. I've accomplished my dream. I've published a novel. It's out there. I haven't gone to a traditional publisher, but I've decided that I want to keep control of my work. I would write stories just to, just sort of cope with the world in a way. I would write stories involving my enemies at school and have me in a superior position and them in the worst position. Or if I felt in the worst position in real life, I would put myself in that worst position. I remember we read a passage of A Christmas Carol when I was younger, and I always put myself in the position of Clark and my worst enemies at school in the position of Scrooge. So it would sort of emphasize how I was feeling. And sometimes when I was writing, I would break the rules of grammar and punctuation. I always used to put the people that I didn't like without a capital letter on their name, because my view was, you're not worthy of a capital letter. You shouldn't have a capital letter. And then I started doing comics as well because I was good at drawing. Found my own kind of niche, but I'd still continue to write stories. I would take people from real life and put them into a story. And I was talking to some other writers on Twitter, and we were saying we can get away with anything when it comes to writing. If you look at my second vlog, I actually said that writing is complete freedom. If you really don't like somebody in real life, set them up as a character in your story. You can get away with being the superhero and they could be the villain and you could defeat them. You can get away with so much when you just write things down. Keep it for yourself, or burn it, or get rid of it, or whatever, or publish it if you want to, as long as you change names. Always change names. In my story, my actual novel that I published, The Shape of the Path, there are people in that novel who have been inspired by real people. The main character, Catherine, is an amalgamy of about 3 or 4 different people I've known in my life. A lot of people have asked me if it's autobiographical. It is not. It's actually the opposite story. It's actually someone who's completely different from me. Anyone out there who thinks writing a novel is easy, it is very hard. It's even harder to stick at the same story and see it all the way through to the end, because it's a hell of a commitment. And it does get to the point sometimes you think, I'm bored with this, now I want to move on, I want to do something else. I really don't like the story, but at the same time you want to finish that story rather than leave it hanging, because when you've finished it, that's a much better feeling than you have than if you just leave it. If you start a novel and you mean to see it through to the end, you're going to have to really put in a lot of commitment. It took me 10 years to write that novel, but it's 10 years I do not regret. I did take a break in the middle because I did have a bit of writer's block. I went away, wrote some fan fiction, did some other stuff, and then went back to it. And when I went back to it, I felt so much better. Anyway, that's just a ramble and update on my writing. Again, if you like it, say so. If you don't like it, say so. If you're going to give it a thumbs down, please tell me why. Don't just leave a thumbs down and walk away. Please tell me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye!